Good morning. This morning in our devotional highlight from God's Word, my morning reading was in 1 Samuel 11 through 15. And wow, I got to tell you, for those that do not spend time in the Old Testament, you miss out on some of these little gems that God has in there. And when I say little gems, I'm being careful not to exaggerate. But we have two specific lessons in the life of King Saul that I think each one of us needs to take note of. The first of them is going to be in the first couple of chapters of my reading, say 11 through most of 14, when Saul really was kind of, I guess, apathy had taken a hold of him. Early on in his reign, he was quick to exact judgment and fight hard for the Lord. But in this particular case, he was content to let the Philistines kind of rule over the people, and allowed himself to be dependent even on foreign governments for the welfare of his people. And unfortunately, that left them vulnerable, and Saul was okay with that. Until Jonathan, a man of faith, gets courageous enough to go ahead and sneak off and do battle and give God a great opportunity to show himself strong. And in the process, what ends up happening is that the people are inspired and encouraged when the man of God steps out and lives by faith. But before that, they were discouraged by their leader who would not make a move. And so I want to encourage you this morning. Realize this, that the people around you are watching you. And if you're claiming to be a child of God, yet the things around you are just going without any real involvement from you, or you're too busy doing life that really is just about here and not really even considering eternity, it's a strong possibility that they will respond to life with the same apathy that we see in the life of Saul, and was better demonstrated by Jonathan living the life that he should have been living, letting God be strong. Which one are you showing the people around you? And then the next one was Saul gets another chance. He gets a chance to go out and do what God says, and he manufactures his own version of obedience. And then when Samuel shows up, he says, "Hey, Saul, I told you to do this, I told you to do this, I told you to do this, and you didn't." And Saul blamed people, he blamed other people, he blamed the people really just running wild against his wishes, but the truth was he led them there. And so in the process, Samuel says some of the most important things that we could hear is that obedience is a greater form of worship than a song we sing on Sunday morning with tears flowing. See, if we're living in disobedience, and God says that our worship is tainted, our worship is not acknowledging God for who he is. He's only being acknowledged for who we want him to be instead of who he actually is. Obedience proves that we believe that God is who he claims to be. And so I want to encourage you this morning, if there's an area of disobedience that you're thinking God's not thinking is a big deal, or maybe you've kind of become comfortable with that particular disobedience in your life, then maybe it's time you make the change. Because God says to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken, that means to yield to God, to listen to God, and to obey him, and to honor him is better than any kind of praise and worship we could sing or bring. And that doesn't mean sinless perfection. It means that we are recognizing the sin in our lives and working to eradicate it. And so I want to encourage you today. Some of you have extra time, some of you have less time. It really depends on your circumstances. But spend the right amount of time working on your obedience to the Lord. Let's not be partially obedient, claiming to be a lover of the Lord, let's be fully obedient as the Spirit of God gives us strength to do so. I hope you have a great day today.